Hi guys, and welcome to my DIY channel. My name is Annalie and I'm so excited to show you guys what we have for today's video. So to get started, we're using one of these signs that you can get from the Dollar Tree. This is just one of those pumpkin signs that I know so many YouTubers are using right now, but how can you not? It's amazing. The sign is amazing. So I went ahead and I took everything apart and I flipped it over onto the back side so that I could get it prepped and ready to go. And the first thing that I did was I painted it with a off-white cream color with the folk art chalk paint. I also picked up some of this metallic paint, this acrylic metallic paint that you can get from Walmart in the gold color, and I wanted to blend that in, so I mixed that into the paint color just to give it a little bit more of a shimmer, adding to the chalk paint. It also gave it a little bit of a goldish orange hue to it. I really liked it. It made the chalk paint really pretty. While the chalk paint was still wet on the board, I actually went ahead and just put some gold straight onto the plate right there. You can see, and I dipped my brush into it and I just kind of mixed the colors and I did this like blending. I don't even know what this is called, you guys, but it looked so pretty. I loved this. It was like a dry brushing technique, but it wasn't dry. The paint was still wet on the pumpkin, and then of course the paint was wet that I put onto the brush, and I did a pretty hefty dose onto the paint, and I just used this to streak, and then I also, some of the white came through. I don't even know what this technique is called, you guys, but I absolutely loved it. This is a technique that I will be using a lot this season because it ended up looking so good. Once that was done, I set that aside to dry, and then I wanted to use this little foil leaf again, so I just used that same gold and just went ahead and painted the leaf. It kind of made it just a little bit of a yellowy orange, but I still liked it. I am so sorry that I am off screen right here. I was just right in my element and I was going to town and I didn't realize that I was off screen, but you can kind of see here that I am wrapping the stem with some jute twine. I also have seen others do this, and yes, I did copy that because I think that it adds such to these little pumpkin signs. Once that was done and the pumpkin was completely dry, I went ahead and I used my Silhouette cutting machine, and I just purchased this right from the Silhouette Design Studio store. So I don't know what font this is because it was just a purchase. It came just like this, and I just used some transfer tape and transferred this right onto the pumpkin. Using some of the thicker diameter jute twine that I got from Walmart, I wanted to make a cute little rope, and so I just took 3 strands and I braided all of them into one long strand. Then using some hot glue, I went ahead and I just trimmed the edges with this little flat but braided rope. I love the look that this gave because it made it a little bit wider but still very flat, and it just gave it a cute little different style of rope look. I just love how this part of it looks on here. And then I just went ahead and I used a little bit of some leftover lamb's ear and some jute twine and some little string that you can get from the Dollar Tree, made some bows, and I just glued everything on here, and here's this little sign. So simple, yet it adds so much to my fall decor. I just love it. I'm so excited that today's video is actually part of Heidi Sonboul's DIY Fall Challenge. The theme is fall or Halloween, and I decided to do fall, and I'm so excited that I get to participate in these challenges. Make sure you go check Heidi out, and there will also be a playlist, so be sure to check out the description box down below so that you guys can check on those so that you guys can click on those links and go see Heidi's channel, and also make sure you watch the playlist because it is loaded with inspiration for you guys. Next project, I used these little pumpkin ornaments that you can get in a package of 5. These also come from the Dollar Tree, and using that little paint technique that I just showed you guys, I went ahead and I did that here with 2 of these pumpkins. So I painted them white first and then went back in with the gold to streak them. And then I painted 1 pumpkin to offset it just a little bit, just the plain gold. Then, using these square wood planks that you can get from the Dollar Tree over in the Crafters Square, I picked up this little package. There was 5 of them in this package. I also had those little square blocks right there because I thought I was going to use them as a frame, and then I changed my mind and ended up not using those. I went ahead and I pulled 3 of these out, and I wanted to make a linear sign. I wanted to make a little sign with them, so using the larger popsicle sticks that you can get from Walmart, I went ahead and I hot glued those onto the back of these signs so that I could make a sign all together. And then I used some stain in the color espresso and got these stained. Once my pumpkins were dry, I used this twine that you can get from the Dollar Tree right now. There was some other colors that you could get too, but I thought these were so cute. They came in a package of 3 for $1. I thought that was a really good deal. And there's actually a lot on there. So between using those and then some of that jute twine that you can get from the Dollar Tree, I went ahead and I fed these through the little holes that are in these little pumpkins so that I could make a bow. Then I wanted some greenery that you could, not the greenery, but the almost like the green stems, the vines that you see on pumpkins. And I thought that this green pipe cleaner would be really cute because it was shimmery. And so I put that on there and then just wound that around my little craft tool so that I could make it look like a little twirly stem coming off of there. And I did this with all 3 pumpkins to fill that hole. Once that was done, I went ahead and I glued them on to my sign that I had just made. Oh, but before I did that, I did some dry brushing. You can see right here. I took some of the white or the cream, the off-white. I took some of the off-white colored paint in the folk art chalk paint, and I just kind of distressed this with a little bit of the dry brushing technique just to break up some of that stain. Then using hot glue, I went ahead and I glued my 3 pumpkins on, and here it is, all complete. Now that I'm looking at it on here, I can see that the green pipe cleaners make it look just a little bit Christmassy. So I don't know, maybe next time I think I would use some flat greenery, but I still love how this turned out. I also used a little bit of wire. I think I forgot to mention that. There's a little bit of wire that I twirled on there too, just to kind of give it just a little bit more detail. For this next project, this is also using all Dollar Tree items. They have these little burlap cut out leaves right now in these colors. So I picked up 3 different colors, and then I picked up some of these little wood blocks that you can get from the Dollar Tree. And I wanted to make these into their own little signs. So I measured out the size that I needed, and then using some hot glue, I took the blocks and I glued them together. If you are going to do this project, I definitely recommend gluing them together against a flat surface, because then it helps to make your frames and your blocks glue together square. When I first did this, I kind of glued them together up in the air and they were very crooked. So glue them next to the counter. So you can see how I have them laying flat against the counter, and I use that as my surface to help make them square. I made 4 sides to this, so 4 blocks on top and bottom, and then 3 blocks for the sides. Once that was all done and dry, I used some of that espresso stain, and I went ahead and I got them stained, and I made 3 of them because I'm using 3 different colors in the leaves. I measured out the frames onto some foam core board that you can get from the Dollar Tree so that I knew the sizes, and I just cut those out so that I could use those as the backs of my frames. And then right now you can get this this brown paper packaging, I guess, brown paper packaging. You can get this from the Dollar Tree right now in a big roll, and I loved how that looked. So I went ahead and I actually distressed the paper just a little bit with my hands. I crinkled it up so that you could see a little bit of texture to the paper. And then I went ahead and using some hot glue, I wrapped the paper around the foam core square pieces that I cut out. The back, you can see that at first I got a little bit lazy, I guess, for lack of a better term, or just maybe I didn't pay attention, but the back looked terrible and I wanted this to be really complete looking. So I ended up redoing it so that it would look nice and finished right here on the back. This looks like a little package. then I went ahead and I glued the leaves onto the front of my little squares. And then when I was done with that, it was time to put my frames onto the squares with each of the leaves. And for this last project, I used one of these little trays that you can pick up from the Dollar Tree. I personally am not going to worry about the holes on the sides. I don't mind them, but I went ahead and I've got some, this is some wax that you can use. I really like it because it goes on really, really light and you can see the wood through it. So I went ahead and I painted that on. And then using another one of these ornaments, at first I put this down on the board and then I realized that for what I was doing for this nail, I'm pounding in some nails to do some string art. I know you guys have seen this on other places and other projects, but this is the first time I've ever done this and I wanted to try it. And so I put that little ornament on there, that little pumpkin wood ornament. And then as I started to nail, I realized when I want to take this out, I don't know if I'll be able to get that piece of wood out. So what you don't see me do is I take that piece of wood and I trace it onto a piece of paper, and then I just taped the piece of paper onto the wood so that I could remove that. And then I went ahead and I used some nails and just hammered them in. It was really nice because once they actually punctured through the wood, then I just stopped nailing them so they all are the same depth. And then I removed that piece of paper, which came right out, worked like a charm. And then this is the shape of the pumpkin that I have here. So using some of this orange twine that you can pick up, it's like an orange jute twine. You can get this from the Dollar Tree right now. I went ahead and I went around the outer edges just to kind of give it a trace framework. And then I used that orange and white twine that you guys saw me use just a little bit earlier for the center. And I just went for it. Just back and forth looping this and making this little design pattern to fill in the pumpkin. Once that was done, I used my silhouette cutting machine and I had this little decal that is in the design studio as well. And so it just says, "Hey there, pumpkin." And I just broke it up so that I could put it on the top and on the bottom of this. And I went ahead and I just scraped that on there. And then using some of that orange twine, I went ahead and I made a bow out of the plain orange twine and then also the orange and white twine. And then I got a whole bunch of ribbon from the Dollar Tree. So I went ahead and I just cut 3 pieces of that and dovetailed the edges and tied those together too, just so that I could make a cute little bow that I could put right on top. And using some hot glue, I just glued that right to the top, embellished it, and here it is. Such a simple project, and I think it turned out really cute. It was really fun to do. I've never done these little string art projects before, so that was really fun to do. you guys so much for watching, and I appreciate you guys being here. Don't forget to check out the description box down below so that you guys can go check out Heidi Sonboul's DIY channel and also the playlist below for her challenge that she does. Please, if you guys would, leave me a comment down below and let me know which project you liked the best. If you'd like to, please consider subscribing and give this video a thumbs up. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys.